Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Nice to see us all here today. Before we start today's proceedings, I'd like to begin with the safety briefing, so please pay attention.
At UTT, we have a duty of care to our guests, students, and staff in maintaining a safe, smoke-free campus environment. In this regard, we have a few announcements aimed at ensuring your safety at our facility. Please be guided by the following. The campus is equipped with an electronic fire detection and alarm system. In the event of an emergency which requires an evacuation, you will be guided to the appropriate muster point. The main muster point on campus is located at the western end of the fire ground, which is north of the main building. Your evacuation routes are as follows. Exit the auditorium using the doors either to the left or right of the room. Once outside the auditorium, follow the directional signs to exit the building. Proceed north to the muster point, located on the fire training ground, and await further instructions. You will be required to remain at the muster point until the all clear is given by UTT or fire officials. Please note, elevators should not be used in the event of an evacuation. There is no scheduled testing of the campus fire alarm system today, so in the event that the alarm system is activated, you are required to do the following. Evacuate in a safe but brisk manner. Proceed to the muster point located at the western end of the fire training ground. Await further instructions. Washrooms are located just outside of the auditorium on your right. A health and wellness room is available on the campus should the need for first aid attention arise. Please note there is a no smoking policy on the campus. No food and beverage are allowed in the auditorium. We do hope you have a pleasant and safe stay at our campus. Thank you.
And let's stand for the national anthem. Thank you very much. You can be seated. And I'll turn you over to Mr. Stefan Manon, the program leader, UTT Maritime Studies.
Mrs. Ramara Parasaram, I am a regional coordinator, Latin America, for Latin America Caribbean section. Colleagues, friends of the maritime industry, stakeholders, academic staff of the University of Trinidad and Tobago Maritime Studies, support staff, parents, future students, good morning and welcome to the University of Trinidad and Tobago, Chaguaramas campus, and specifically maritime studies. We thank you all for taking the time to spend your morning with us, especially your Saturday morning. But we know that it is out of interest of the maritime industry and entering the maritime industry as some form of employment. Welcoming you to maritime studies is not just welcoming you to a facility where we educate and train students. It is also welcoming you to a larger maritime community, as UTT is one of the premier maritime institutions in the Caribbean region for both education and training and also research. You are also sitting in an institution that has 20 years experience today. So we are 20 years old, the university is celebrating 20 years. And the maritime unit and their program started in time with the university. So this is 20 years of experience in education and training of young professionals in the maritime sector. So today we will take you through, it is open day, and we have planned a brief 1 hour session. We don't intend to keep you in here all day, a 1 hour session where we go through the programs. We have some industry experts also that we allow you to communicate, ask your questions to, right, to make it a more interactive program also. So, as we are also very fortunate and happy to welcome back Mrs. Parasaram, who is now the IMO Regional Coordinator. She was very recently and previously the program leader of Maritime Studies and also the director and head of the Maritime Technology Cooperation Center of the Caribbean, MTCC Caribbean. And as we go through today, you will see how all of these pieces piece together, right? And how, as I mentioned, there's one community. So I will ask Mrs. Parasaram to join us now to bring some remarks on behalf of the IM.
You all can hear me. Good morning. Yeah, I'm coming after a 6-footer. Good morning again, and thank you for having me here. As Stefan said, I had the privilege of leading maritime studies for over a decade. And during that time, I saw the campus grow from 25 students to well over 300 students. And that's our capacity right now. And I keep saying our because I still consider myself part of the team here at Maritime Studies. Many of you are here wondering, or probably decided to choose maritime as a possible field. And I was thinking this morning, what am I going to say to, from this new perspective that I'm bringing to the team? So as IMO, we always welcome new talent into the maritime industry. It is an industry that continues to need that talent, particularly so within the developing world. Some of you may have seen statistics that we are 90,000 short of seafarers. 2%, less than 2% of that are females. And for those of you that are familiar with the gender discussion, would know that there's a critical mass of inclusion and inclusivity that is required for us to operate at optimum capacity. That has been documented to be a minimum of 30% participation of females in any organization for that organization to be working at optimum capacity. So the IMO, as it continues to progress its agenda for safer shipping and cleaner seas, which is our core objective, the IMO has implemented over 50 conventions that we continue to build capacity to effectively implement. This campus is one of our key implementing partners not just within the Caribbean region, but globally. Maritime Studies at UTT has taken its place as one of the top centers of excellence leading the discussion in maritime decarbonization. Your program leader, Mr. Stefan Manan, has made contributions at the IMO that has been groundbreaking in terms of influencing discussion with respect to the carbon intensity indicator. That's getting a little bit too technical now. But let's just say he's been making very significant impact, well supported by a team here. And, why maritime studies? If you're choosing maritime, why maritime studies at UTT? Simply because it brings to you the best there is to offer in terms of maritime education. The seafaring programs are certified by the Maritime and Coast Guard Agency of the United Kingdom. Keeping that certification is a significant investment, not just by UTT, by the government of Trinidad and Tobago, because everyone who knows about seafaring knows that a UK certification is considered a gold standard. It allows you to sail almost everywhere in the world without a lot of questioning with respect to your certification. And that certification is very critical because of an increasing incidence of fraudulent certification, particularly in the Caribbean region. We are seeing that, particularly with the global state of the world in terms of international trade, there's a growing dark fleet that needs to evade international sanctions and to continue to trade. And increasingly, we are seeing Caribbean flags showing up as registered different types of tankers and vessels. And those states are saying those vessels are not registered to us. We have no vessels in our fleet. Similarly, with respect to seafarer certification. So having a UK certification that you access through this university is definitely an opportunity that a lot of people don't recognize. And they don't recognize the investment that the country is making for Trinidad and Tobago to make and take a space in terms of international seafaring. Everyone knows the Philippines and India as the space for international seafarers. Within the Caribbean, we know Jamaica. But Trinidad and Tobago needs to take its space in terms of building and marketing its space as a space where you can get an internationally recognized certification that is second to none in the globe. The second thing I want to say is to identify how important it is to have that education being facilitated by such a dedicated staff. I say I had a privilege to lead a team, and it definitely was a privilege because one of the things you probably don't know is how very difficult it is to access maritime expertise and expertise to maintain the caliber of qualification and certification. And the team here, no matter how short-staffed they are, they maintain that qualification, they maintain that certification, and they maintain the quality maritime education that you have access to. And that is something you cannot take for granted, because even in other colleges within the global sphere, you wouldn't have a team that would sacrifice and make the sacrifices to ensure that its students are not compromised in their education. So why maritime studies? The investment is there, the staffing is there. You have the opportunity to be part of this industry led by a very capable team. And I might add, in terms of the International Maritime Organization, we are very proud to say that UTT is our implementing partner for the region. And not just an implementing partner for the region in terms of decarbonization. That role is expanding and is expected to expand because the center continues to perform very well. It is the best performing center. I probably shouldn't say that as IMO, but it is definitely one of the best performing centers in terms of implementing partners across the globe. And you probably may hear that more of that, the deeper as you explore whether you want to join this campus or not. but it is definitely a good decision to be here. And in terms of your access, what this training, qualification, education provides you, it provides you an opportunity to access a world of opportunities through the training and education you can access here. So thank you, and the IMO stands ready to support whatever requirements the region requires. I can no longer speak for Trinidad and Tobago, but I have the opportunity and the privilege to speak as a former head of UTT Maritime Studies, and I look forward to seeing what the day yields. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Parsaram, for bringing those words on behalf of the maritime community, right, and the IMO. And yes, we intend to keep the standard that we have, both on the academic programs, the research, and as we hopefully expand the ambit of the MTCC, we intend to keep that standard. So what I would like to do now is to give an overview of the programs offered at the Maritime Studies. And I will give a brief overview. I will go through the academic, the entry requirements for the programs, what the areas of studies are. But coming after me are discipline leaders and also senior instructors on these are the programs that will give a bit more insight into where these qualifications lead you. So, UTT, the University of Trinidad and Tobago, we are down to about 8 campuses now, and you are located on the Chaguaramas campus on the northern west peninsula of Trinidad and Tobago. The camp, as we know, maritime is international. It is a transboundary operations. The minimum shipping that you might have in any state such as Trinidad and Tobago is that of the domestic, right? Trinidad and Tobago and some of the other islands are large maritime countries that have a lot of trade coming through them, right? So it is a transboundary discipline, a multidiscipline also, and it deals with not just ships and shipping, right? But it also deals with port operation, logistic operations that support the shipping industry. And as we know, the shipping industry is growing. It is a major facilitator of trade. Without maritime industry, most of what you see around you wouldn't be on this island, right? The islands of the Caribbean maritime is a major requirement, major mode of transportation for our survival. Or most of the goods we have coming through the region are brought by maritime, right? And many of the islands rely also on energy security from the maritime industry. So both shore side and ship side programs we offer at the University of Trinidad and Tobago. And if you look at that top left-hand corner there, the gentleman to the front you're seeing is the recent chairman of the previous chairman of the University of Trinidad and Tobago, Professor Clement Dembe. People know from behind him is the president of the University of Trinidad and Tobago, Professor Stephen Joseph. And you recognize some of the faces there in this room also. And what they're pointing at there is a global map similar to the one outside at the IMO headquarters in London, pointing on these 2 little islands that are 700 kilometers approximately from Venezuela. And these little islands are, in terms of education and training and research, as you say, is they host one of the premier maritime institutions in the region. Globally, the regional and the global reach is definitely there. As we mentioned, we have through the MTCC, over the years, we have established also a regional network and an international network. As Mrs. Parsaram mentioned, our programs are accredited by the Maritime and Coast Guard Agency of the United Kingdom. So we do have reached the IMO headquarters in London, the MC headquarters in Southampton, We have international reach. We have reach to the MTCC in Latin America, Pacific, Asia. So it is a campus that has international reach and good standing in the global maritime environment. So as I mentioned, I'm not just welcoming you to Chaguaramas and UTT Maritime Studies. As we all have often heard, this is one of the best kept secrets in Trinidad and Tobago. I am welcoming you to a campus that has international and global reach, and I will put and say respect also and a reputation to uphold. So the main programs that we offer is the shore-based programs for the Masters of Science in Operational Maritime Management, the Bachelors of Science in Nautical Science Maritime Operations, and on the seafarer side, we offer the Diploma in Maritime Operations Engineering and the Diploma in Maritime Operations Navigation. And associated with these programs are two programs that come subsequent. I'll go through them in a bit of detail in a couple of slides. The Professional Officer of the Watch Certificate and Deck and Engine. We also have two more programs that are in the pipeline that are subsequent to the diploma programs that I'll also mention as we go along. So the Diploma in Maritime Operations Navigation program, and if you are here and you are interested in doing navigation and you have not applied to the program yet, you're a bit late. This is one of the most oversubscribed programs the University of Trinidad and Tobago has. This class has a maximum of 25, and every year we take about 110% of the capacity. So it is a program that is geared towards Officer of the Watch, SCCW Regulation 2.1. And again, if you are here and interested in the seafarer programs, these are some terms that you need to start looking up. The standards of training and certification for watchkeeping, SCCW. The duration of this program, it is a 2-year course, right? Two 12-week semesters per academic year. It is full-time and 72 credit program. The minimum entry requirements for this program are 5 subjects at O levels. Maths, English are mandatory. Physics is mandatory. And additional science and additional maths is definitely an asset. Medical fitness is also important, and eyesight is important when you are pursuing a seafarer program. So it is advised that you also, if you have any medical conditions and you have any deficiency in eyesight, whether it be vision or color, that you also do a medical fitness test before enrolling on these programs. And the standard is the ENG1, the MCA approved, and we'll get into that a bit more. And again, these are things that you could ask questions about as we go through the morning. So the areas of study for the navigation, we have the celestial navigation chart working, right? These are geared towards the operations on board the vessels, meteorology, passage planning, and ship construction, bridge watchkeeping, stability, electronic navigation systems, and maritime law and management. So these are just some of the areas of studies so that you are aware of it. And all of these areas of studies are developed, the syllabus is developed around the SCCW convention, right? And it is also a syllabus that is recognized by the UK government. The Diploma in Maritime Operations Engineering program, similar to navigation. So there are 2 distinct disciplines on board the vessels, the engineering officers and the navigation officers. So the engineering program offers the similar part, the education and training program for the engineering officer of the watch, SCCW Regulation 3.1, similar to the navigation program. It is now a 2-year program, 12 weeks, 2 semesters each. 12-week semesters is a full-time program, 72 credits. And the entry requirements are similar to the navigation program, 5 O-levels requirements. Again, I will say it. Maths, engineering, physics are mandatory to an additional science. There's also a mature entry route for persons that have experience on board vessels also. So if you have mandatory requirements, maths and English, but you also have a number of years experience in the industry, you can also apply to the program if you are pursuing that official certificate of competency, SCCW certificate of competency. And similar to the navigation program, eyesight and medical fitness is a requirement to become an engineering officer of the watch. The areas of study, marine engineering is basically you are a jack of all trades when it comes to engineering, because you're responsible for all the machinery on board the vessel, all the amenities that we are accustomed enjoying on land. The engineers are responsible for ensuring that the crew of the vessels, and if it's a passenger ship, the passengers on the vessel also enjoy these amenities. So both marine and mechanical engineering and electrical engineering, and then we move on to the more professional marine engineering courses. There is a workshop component of the engineering training, which is 360 hours of machining, welding, electrical workshop, plant workshop, that engineers must also undergo. And then there's some simulator training in there. Now, we did speak and we mentioned these 3 letters, MCA, this morning, Maritime and Coast Guard Agency of the United Kingdom. You cannot board a vessel and work as an officer of the watch with a UTT diploma. The UTT diploma provides the education and training required. You must be certified by a maritime authority. The Maritime Services Division of Trinidad and Tobago has an agreement with the Maritime and Coast Guard Agency of the United Kingdom that the MCA certifies the officers coming out of the University of Trinidad and Tobago. This is one of the few places where you could have education and training from the for the UK certification in the world. And I believe it is the only one that offers the long programs and not just the short courses. So when you complete the diploma programs, you move on to a program that we call the Professional Officer of the Watch programs, where you do the sea service. For the deck officers, the sea service required is 12 months sea service, and then you must also complete some mandatory SCCW short courses. For the engineering officers, because of the workshop component, that sea service has been reduced to 6 to 9 months if we get additional industry placement also. So on completing these programs, what you do now is you write to the MCA requesting examination, and you get what they call a notice of eligibility to sit the examination oral exam, the MCA oral examination. So you do a couple of written examinations, and then you sit the final examination, and you are issued a certificate of competency from the United Kingdom. What I am also happy to say is that this academic year, we have been undergoing a modernization of the seafarer programs that has been led by the MCA. So the programs being offered come September 2025 are some of the most modernized seafarer training programs that you could get anywhere in the world. And again, offered at the University of Trinidad and Tobago Maritime Studies. We also have a suite of short courses. So those of you who are professionals within the industry and you have not yet, for any reason, known that UTT offers the SCCW short courses, right? We are happy to say that we offer the full suite, and we will be returning to offering our PSCRB course by July. That's going to happen. Right. Okay, so that was the seafarer programs, but as I said, the maritime industry is not just about what happens on shore, on board the vessels. There is a huge maritime logistics chain that operates outside of the COs. Well, sea is where's the major voyage, but there's a lot of supporting logistics that is required in different, whether it be on the ports, for maritime insurance, legal matters, economics, that also, if there are also fields within or within the maritime industry. And this is where our shore-based programs, where we offer the education and training on the shore-based programs. So some of the potential employment areas, and the BSc, we could say, is one of the most rounded programs when it comes to maritime operations and maritime education and training. And I think I am right by saying it is one of the universities, the first universities to offer such a program. Was it 15 years ago? Right? About 15 years ago, right? This program was established. It was developed by Mrs. Parsaram. Also, she was the first discipline leader of that program also. So it was one of the first, and I think it is still limited globally, access to such a program that covers such a wide range of disciplines within the maritime industry. And we see a number of heads nodding. These are some of the graduates from these programs inside of here also. The entry requirement, well, the program is a 4-year program. Again, 2 12-week semesters an academic year. It is a 120 credit program. And the entry requirements are 2 GCA levels in CAPE, General Paper, and or CAPE Communication Studies and Caribbean Studies. Or if you have a Diploma in Maritime Operations, Engineering or Navigation, you are, or a Certificate of Competency at the operational level, you also have the entry requirements required to enter the the BSc in Nautical Science Maritime Operations. The Masters in Operational Management, and it is just that, it is ideally geared to people within the sector that are management level positions or are pursuing, right, or have intentions of moving into management level positions within the maritime industry, within companies in the maritime industry. And yes, I made sure and found some Caribbean pictures of maritime operations this morning, right? So these are some of the managers that you will see, especially that picture to the bottom there, that is a Caribbean Shipping Association picture, right? Where there are a lot of managers of maritime entities within the industry attend these meetings. And the gentleman to the front there is Director of Maritime Services Division also. So these are managers, these are positions within the industry that the MSc geared towards providing that skill, that set, skill set required to become a manager. It is a 2-year program, 12-week semester again. It is a part-time program. This program is offered in the afternoon, 5 to 8. Again, it caters for people working in the industry. But it is not necessary that you work in the industry to enter this program. The program, there are 4 major components of the program: maritime loan management, economics and port management, environmental management, and safety management. And then there's an MSc thesis that you complete towards the end of the program. And I'll bring that up again because these 2 programs are the programs where you are exposed to the research, the maritime research within the industry. Entry requirements: Officer of the Watch holds a management level certification, COC, or an Officer of the Watch with your COC with 5 years, with more than five years experience in the industry. Persons holding a first degree, right, and also mature entries. We could explore the mature entry persons with a minimum of 10 years in middle management experience in maritime related companies. So that gives an overview of the programs that we offer here. For those that may be online, that unfortunately cannot be with us in person, I'll just go through quickly some of the facilities that we have. We do have a full mission bridge simulator that is outfitted by Kornsberg. It is some of the highest or the most recognized state-of-the-art simulators in maritime education. And I was glad to say that these simulators are constantly updated, and our bridge simulators will also undergo an upgrade in this academic year. We have a full mission engine room simulator also, again, outfitted by Kornsberg, and our cadets spend about 45 hours in the simulators before they actually go out to sea. Virtual reality engine room simulator has access to videos that will also carry you through and around the engine room, so you have a better idea of how these things look. Unfortunately, it doesn't have the scale and the magnitude of what this machinery actually looks like. You'll get that when you go on board for your sea service. We have, again, as I mentioned, SACW short courses in safety, security, and also medical first aid, firefighting. So these are some of the facilities, and those of you that are here will get the opportunity of seeing these facilities firsthand. Today, we have one of the most extensive machining and welding workshops in Trinidad and Tobago. Whether it be for education purposes or commercial purposes, it is one of the most extensive ones here on the campus. We have our pool, and yes, let's just remember there's also an asset that for teaching, for education and training, for our security, our safety short courses. So again, we are grateful that you have taken your Saturday morning to join us here. This is a picture again of some of the alumni members that we had a brief meeting with a couple of weeks ago. The opportunities and the scope within this industry is limitless. It all depends on how you apply yourself in the industry, how you find your space in the industry. So what you see in here is a picture with mostly everyone is smiling. There's a chief engineer in there that's a bit difficult to get a smile. Mostly everyone in here is smiling, right? But what you're not seeing behind there is a lot of years of sleepless nights, determination, grit to reach those positions within the industry, right? And as I said, our doors are open to facilitate that process, but it's all up to you, new students, how you take advantage of the opportunity and how you poise yourself within the industry. So that's an overview of the program. Thank you again, and I will introduce Ms. Susan Balkaran, who will give us a little overview, particularly to the engineering program. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Wow, there's a lot of people here. So thank you very much for taking the time to be here. And I know we did have a conversation. We did have some conversations with persons already. So as discussed, the engineering side of it, we have the diploma in maritime operations for engineering. And what I tried to capture here is basically upon the completion of the diploma of maritime operations and engineering, together with your professional officer of the watch program, and of course, adequate sea time and sitting your professional examinations, a certificate of competency for an officer in charge of the engineering watch can be attained. We have an area limitation of none, with propulsion power limitation of 750. Right. So with adequate sea time and training, experience, and successfully passing your professional examinations over time, management level certification has been achieved by some of our first students who would have been part of the programs before. And I made sure that we included one of our first students who would have achieved his chief engineer license there, Mr. Kyle Richards. And we have on board here, we have some students who would have done ship visits. So part of the program, we do take students out to see ships, to see what the engine, what the main engine looks like, what the auxiliary systems would look like as well. So the engineer on board, I would not be too biased, but the engineer on board tends to be the one who would be managing and operating all of the machinery on board. So when we talk about operating equipment, maintaining machinery, troubleshooting, finding faults, rectifying all the faults, and of course, doing all this while ensuring compliance with international applicable standards. So the engineers would be one of the persons who has to understand all the systems on board, your propulsion systems, your auxiliary systems, all your types of heat exchangers, anything that you need for your engine to work, obviously. So you need your lubricating system, you need your cooling system, you need your fuel system, you need your air starting system. So your engineers will be trained to be able to deal with anything when it comes to this type of machinery. As our program leader alluded to, our programs for the engineering part of it, they cover so many disciplines that as a marine engineer, it's really hard to describe a marine engineer like any other engineer. A marine engineer, you become the plumber on board. You become the guy who they call for all the AC systems, refrigeration, anything that you could consider. And what is nice, and there was a question today by a parent, if it is that they no longer want to sail at sea as engineers, it is very easy for engineers to find other routes because we are so trained, we are competent in many disciplines, and we could continue to become a chief engineer on board, but there are so many different transitions that we can do on land as well. A lot of companies will tell you that they do prefer having people with that land, people on land who would have had that sea experience, how many years sailing as an engineer, so that they do have the understanding. So I will hand over now to Captain Agigi to go through with the navigation side of it.
Good morning, everyone. Mr. Nanan went through the program and all that, so I just did with a little bit of a odds and thoughts here. All right, so seafaring on the navigation side is, I'm by the way, a captain myself, so I'm an example of how you can work at sea for some time and then, end up working ashore in university now. So the shipping industry at the moment is basically facing a shortage, which is a good news for you people who want to join this program. If there is a shortage, that means there is a job guarantee for you. So there's a lot of information on the internet. You can find out what is the shortage and all that, but I'll just look at the figure here and the supply and demand, and I see that there is a demand of 1.1 million. That's not just the officers, but that would be the officers, ratings, with all kind of a certification around the world. So there's a great shortage. And unfortunately, this shortage at the moment has caused some issues here, as I will show you. It has basically increased the number of accidents that we have on board the ship. That's partly due to the shortage, fatigue of the officers on board the ship. And in the meantime, unfortunately, it's part of the lack of proper training in some training institutes. So as Mr. Nanan mentioned, in this campus, in this university, the standards of training are very high. They're as per STCW, which is the standard of training and for the watchkeeping certificate, as well as the Marine Coast Guard Agency, which is the United Kingdom standard on maritime training. It has also caused the elevated freight rates. So freight rates could be quite high just because we do not have enough people to run the ships at the moment. The question would be, what would I do after I'm graduated, after I get my certificate of competency? So for the navigation officer, once you get the certificate of competency, you can go and find a job on board any ship of any size with any flag. There is no restriction. and become a third officer. You start by becoming a third officer. Usually, it should take up to 3 years to be as a third officer because before you could be promoted to a second officer. Is it 3 years, 2 years, 1 year? It all depends on, of course, on your performance and on your company, how happy they are with you. 2 years as a third officer, say another 3 years as a second officer, spend 4 years as the chief officer, and then bingo, you'll be a captain on board the ship. And then you can stay as long as you like. These are the epaulets that you'll be wearing on board the ship, from deck cadet all the way to captain, and from engineers as well. When you are here, we do arrange some kind of a ship's visit. So we take the students to the ships and we teach them basically. They can have some they can see practically how the job is done on board the ship. And, you know, once you become a captain, that's actually me quite some time ago. So, so once you are a captain, you serve at some time, and then you say, okay, I think it's about the time I want to leave the ship and come ashore and, you know, drop the anchor and stay here. So what is available for me? And as Suzette said, and Mr. Nanan also mentioned, there's a lot of job ashore that can be done by experienced captain, being a port captain, general manager, harbor master, marine surveyor, consultant, any role within the maritime education, basically safety, regulatory roles, surveyors, VTS, you know, so on and so forth. There's a lot of opportunities actually to do on board the ship. Thank you very much, Ms. Sarita.
Good morning, everybody. I am Sarita Mahabir. I lecture here at the university on most of the programs, and I'm here today to talk to you about the bachelor's in nautical science and the master's in operational maritime management. I myself am a graduate of the master's in operational maritime management. Right, so just briefly about maritime careers, particularly when you're looking at the BSc and the MSc, right? We have a little diagram off to the left there, but it's not a linear process. You can start and get your qualifications, gain experience, get more job opportunities, and find your career. Or you could be in industry right now, like Mr. Nanan said, particularly with the MSc, you could have experience, whether it's at sea or on shore, and then do the master's, right? So in that regard, you've already started your career and now you're trying to get further qualifications. So it's not a linear process, and we can guide you through that process, right? Depending on where you're starting from. We continue to build industry partnerships, so our graduates can be industry ready and employable at the end of a qualification, right? And the ways that we do this are through internships, which are built into our BSc program. So we get you some industry placement and immersion within the years that you are here with us for the BSc. This helps you to get to understand the functions of various shipping companies, port operators, regulatory agencies, because you are actually in there interning with them and seeing how the sector functions, getting to know all of the players, getting to build relationships and network while you are still a student at university. Your research components in both the BSc and MSc levels as well helps you to do this, because depending on your interest and the area that you choose to do your research in, you would have exposure to the relevant stakeholders, right? To our industry partners. And this is an area where you can also network and use that to leverage career opportunities for the future. Here on the campus, as Ms. Parashram said, we are engaged in a very large number of projects and different types of research as well. So with regards to reduction of greenhouse gas emissions, with reductions to noise pollution from shipping, with reduction to anti-fouling or fouling of vessels, all of those things we are engaged in, and our individual lecturers are engaged in even further research, right? So you have exposure to these things. We regularly host conferences and workshops on our campus, which once you participate, right, and once you volunteer and involve yourself in attending those conferences and workshops, it gives you the opportunities to meet our past alumni, our industry stakeholders. Again, all of these are networking opportunities that help you build your career. Where could you end up with these qualifications? Almost anywhere, right? As Mr. Nanan said, this BSc program and our MSc program are very comprehensive. It gives you exposure to a wide array of topics and areas of operation within the maritime industry. You could end up in a shipping company, in ship management, in a port, managing personnel, so fleet management, crewing management. You could become on the technical side, superintendents, right? So all of these here, you can work in oil and gas and logistics and services and education. You can go anywhere. The sky is literally the limit. And if you look at the anchor, you might be able to make out some of the words there. All of the words there are the different positions that our graduates hold. And that's just some of our graduates. So you'll see things like dispatcher, and this is for our Trinidad and Tobago Pilots Association. Port superintendent, right? They work at the Port Authority of Trinidad and Tobago. They've understudied pilots in different countries. Deputy director of major IMO projects, right? Senior instructor. I myself, I'm a senior instructor here. And then this is some of our graduates, their pictures, and this is just a handful, right? And this is them doing their daily jobs, right? These qualifications can take you globally, right? So yes, we understand that with the seafaring programs, you are on board a ship, so you sail wherever the ship goes. But our BSc and MSc gives you access to the global stage as well. We have our past students in Trinidad and Tobago, Guyana, Belize, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, USA, Suriname, and that's just to name a few. And they work there. Yes, some of them are from those countries, but we have students from different countries also working in those countries, right? So it's truly a global career, and what you do with it is up to you. I'll hand you back over to.
Thank you very much, Sarita, Captain Agigi, and Ms. Balkaran for giving an overview. More in-depth look at where these programs could lead you. And as I mentioned, there are some members of the alumni graduates here that you please feel free to ask some questions when we reach the question and answer session. We have heard this center, MTCC Caribbean, mentioned a number of times this morning. And these are the educational training programs that we just showcased. The Maritime Technology Cooperation Center is a center that the University of Trinidad and Tobago bid for against some of the other maritime education centers within the region and was able to win to host such a center. It is geared towards initially decarbonization, was geared towards decarbonization, but the projects on it has expanded over the years. And I would like to now welcome Mr. Michael Rasak, who is also a graduate of the BSc program and the MSc program at UTT. He is now the Deputy Director of the MTCC Caribbean and also a project manager at the MTCC Caribbean. And Michael will give a little overview of what this center is about and the reach of this center and the extent of the work that the center is doing, not just locally, regionally, but also internationally. Michael, thank you.
Thank you for that, Stefan, and good morning, everyone, again. Just wanted to once again show our appreciation to the IMO Regional Coordinator, Ms. Parson, for, let's say, diplomatically telling us that we're one of the best centers in the IMO network. So at MTCC, our core function, as Stefan said, when we initially bid, was under the GMN Phase I Project, not to get too much into details for that as we are running on short on time, focus on maritime climate action. But since then, we have expanded our scope in terms of research. We're now, looking at research in terms of ports and vessels, in terms of the uptake of low carbon technology, building a climate resilient infrastructure, improving the infrastructure for a green energy mix. We are also doing work with ports in terms of emission inventory and data collection and monitoring system. And what you would see from some of the slides following is that we have done extensive capacity building and technology transfer across, as Stefan said, not only the Caribbean region, but also in the Latin America region. And we have been working with institutions, other academic institutions such as the Shanghai Maritime University, the Maritime University in Sweden, and we're working, of course, closely with the IMO. So what you're seeing here is some of the initiatives and projects that we are currently completing, work that would have been done, and even work that's in the pipeline. So just to highlight a couple of them, GMN Phase I would have spanned across 4 years, where we would have done extensive capacity and trading workshops across the Caribbean region. We would have done technology needs analysis, completed pilot projects, and even published some e-books that you would have access to put on. Under Phase II, I will get to under Phase II of GMN a bit later on. Under the IMO CARES project, we would have worked with the IMO to do a maritime technology global challenge. And again, the scope was engaging with technology providers, not only in the Caribbean, but bringing technology providers from the global north to meet the needs of the global south, and also emphasizing the need for research and development for technology providers in the global south. We are also involved in some other initiatives, such as the Glow Noise, being led by Trinidad and Tobago as a lead partner country under the Glow Noise project. We have worked with the GHG Smart project as well as the Green Voyage project. So just to give you, some insights, as Stefan said, in terms of the reach of this network and how it works well with the Maritime Studies Unit. We are doing pilot projects throughout the Caribbean region under the GMN Phase II project, for instance. Within those pilot projects, for instance, we're installing a wind turbine with a microgrid system in St. Kitts. We're also doing innovative hull coating for a vessel owned and operated by National Energy that is based on a graphite-based solution. And that's geared towards improving the fuel efficiency of the vessel, as well as reducing the potential impact of biofouling accumulation on the vessel. We are doing extensive capacity building with the Maritime Administrations, the Port Authority, and other stakeholders across the Caribbean region on issues not just related to the 2023 IMO GHG strategy, but also the net zero framework that is coming up, that is being worked on at the IMO, as well as amongst other initiatives and other topics and research areas in the maritime industry. We have a strong connection with the public and private sector. We have a good partnership, and I know we have some of our alumni here that can attest to that when we have our panel discussion. And a core focus, again, as Ms. Parson said earlier, only 2% of the seafaring workforce is females. So we are hoping to strengthen the capacity of women organizations, yes, specifically to maritime energy efficiency and related technologies and measures, but we are going a bit beyond this, where we have a gender action plan where we're also engaging the youths from the primary school level. We'll be doing some outreach. Us being here and present to meet the prospective students is also kind of attest to that initiative. So just going back again under the GMN, our targeted countries is there's 16 Caribbean territory flags that you're seeing here. And this is essentially the scope for this project. For instance, under the test biofouling project, we work in the Latin America region. So we would have been, we are doing consultations with Brazil, Ecuador, Mexico, Peru, and we are hosting actually a series of national demonstration workshops in these countries. Again, get towards environmentally sound technology for underwater inspections, hull cleaning with capture, as well as any innovative and advanced technology uptake when it deals with accelerating the transfer towards addressing biofouling in the industry. So we have also delivered training workshop, for instance, to Chile, Argentina, Panama, Jamaica, and Suriname, who are also partner countries under this project. So if you want to explore more about MTCC Caribbean, there's a QR code there. There's some links to the ebooks and reports that was published under phase 1, but also, you can keep posted on our social media. And just circling back to the relationship that we have with maritime studies, as you would see that the team at MTCC Caribbean comprised of staff from the Maritime Studies Unit, led by Mr. Stefan Nanan. We have Suzette Bakran, who is our energy efficiency advisor, Nathaniel Davis, our project officer. And in the past, our project officers have all been graduates from the bachelor's program and have gone on to do the master's program. We work closely with the students who are doing their thesis in the BSc as well as the MSc. Once it's aligned with the project objectives, we incorporate students' input and involvement in the research initiatives that we are doing. And we would continue that close relationship with the university as we move forward with the MTCC. As Ms. Parasom said, our role is expected to expand. With the expanding role, we would try to engage the students and graduates that have come out from the university. So I believe that is the conclusion of our session for this morning. We will now step into our panel discussion and also take any questions. So I'll now ask our industry partners to kindly take a seat up front, and I'll hand you over to Susie, who will identify them. One more thing, just to highlight, the day of the Seafarer was 25th of June. The theme of the event was My Harassment Free Ship. And, just some insights. The industry is trying to promote not just, equality within the industry, but stopping all forms of discrimination and harassment on vessels. And as future seafarers, I implore you all, engage with past students. As a past graduate, I will also implore you all UTT is not just a learning institution, but there's a culture on the campus. There's multinationals on the campuses, on the campus itself. You're going into a sphere that's no longer just Trinidad and Tobago, right? It's global, and just bear that in mind as you enroll.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Razak. We are going to a very engaging session as well. In this session, we'll be hearing from the voice of the industry. And I want to say that we are very honored to have many of our graduates here with us today, a lot more than I was actually, expecting. And some of you all would have gotten a special invitation to be part of the panel. Some of you all were told this morning. Some of you all joining in now. I am seeing the importance of having you all be here with us to discuss and to answer our questions. So I'm kindly asking if it is that my esteemed panelists who knew that they were being panelists, as well as persons in the industry, and I could call your names if you want, and you can come and join us here. There's not enough seats for all of you guys, but I want that we would be able to answer any questions collectively as well. So please feel free to join us. Okay, so I'm gonna call names then. Okay, Ronaldo, Giovanna, Sabina from the front row here. Bernadette, thank you very much. I saw Javon and Tyrell just walked in. Where you guys right here? Anisha and Avery, please join us down here as well. Brian. I can't see if I'm missing anybody else. Yes, Brian, come down here, please. Yeah. Anybody else? I'm missing anybody else in there? Javon and Tyrell. Okay, they're there to answer questions if they want to. Avery, come. Okay, yeah.
No.
Okay, so we still have Anisha in the crowd if she wants to join us. So if not, she'll be answering questions as well, right? So basically what I would like and what would be very beneficial to the persons here, new persons, students of the current years right now, I'm kindly asking for you guys to give us a brief, because it's plenty of you guys know, a brief insight on how your education at the university has taken you to where you are right now. Please also note that we do have a lot of female graduates with us, and we are very appreciative of the fact that we have such gender equity and equality within maritime as well. So we also really want to hear from our ladies as their perspectives on how the journey has been getting to this point. So I would start with Ronaldo on this side.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Elda Daniel, a graduate of the bachelor's program. I've been listening to all the discussion this morning, and this is, first of all, those of you who went to school with me know that I have anxiety real bad when we started talking public. So right now my foot for right? But today is a full circle moment for me. When I look at my colleagues now and I get to sit next to Mrs. Parashram and Anisha, I remember my first day here. As a matter of fact, I came to drop off my application and that kind of thing. And Ms. Parashram would have given me just the briefest explanation as to what I was getting into. And Anisha kind of took me around and showed me the campus. And today to see Anisha come in here in her uniform is amazing. And when we hear about gender equality in the industry and that kind of thing, I think I have taken it for granted that women only make up about 2% of the industry because there are so many of us locally in the industry that I have not realized that globally there's such a shortage. So the university is doing excellent work in terms of getting women into the industry in very influential positions. In terms of how this program has help, absolutely. If not for this program, I would not have had the opportunity to meet people on such a global level, be in the position that I am in. I've been in the industry now for 11 years. I started in operations as an operations assistant across the road, actually. And now I've been a crew coordinator and now contracts manager for 10 years. In terms of my education, I've been transitioning more into maritime law. Hopefully I could follow in Mrs. Parashram's footsteps. So I just graduated from, well, not graduated, I just completed International Maritime Law with the World Maritime University in Sweden. And hopefully I'll be back here to do my PhD quite soon. And yeah, that's where we are at. Do you have any questions for me? No, pass it on. Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Kuzan Akal, Chief Engineer Officer. And my career started off with a day just like this, an open day. And it was on that open day that just opened my mind and just brought me out into maritime. Pretty much. It was with the expertise of the lecturers that are still here that laid the foundation for me to what I am today. That foundation was very important to helping me to reach where I am today. Even when I was here as a cadet it was always, I had a nickname called Chief. That's how badly I wanted to be where I am at today. It's no longer a nickname, it's supported by documents, Chief. So anywhere I go, it's supported by documents where my closest friends will call me Chief because they know where the name came from. From then on, I've been in many types of vessels, from tugboats to drill ships to yachts to offshore supply vessels, handlers. The interesting thing is that before joining this program, I knew nothing about maritime, absolutely nothing. My first ship was when I joined this program. It was one of the largest ships I've been on. It was an old ship, but I made the best of it. It was one of my best experiences, I would say. It didn't have the modern comforts of what we are used to now, you know, but having good camaraderie on board and getting to see different places traveling around the world was really an experience. And I enjoy what I did. I still maintain trying to strive further and further in my career in the engineering part. Engineering is hands-on, yes. I know Mr. Nanan said there's an oversubscription in the navigation, but consider giving engineering a try. You know, we're like the heroes on board. We have unrestricted access to any part of the ship and to do anything that we need to do to get things moving. Yeah. So with that, I'll pass it on to my colleagues, and any questions you all need to pass on to me. Yes.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Avery Alexis, Chief Officer on the verge of acquiring my Master's Unlimited license. I started just like you guys here again, open day, bright young faces. You know, I might be looking beat up today because of the CA experience, but nevertheless, coming through here was some of the best years and experience of my life because it is indeed a global institution because the lecturers that pass through here are world-class lecturers. And me realizing that at that time, I didn't actually realize that until I furthered my studies in the UK to acquire my Chief Officer license. And under the course of stability, they were actually following the course of a book that one of our lecturers wrote from UTT, right? So we had a lecturer here that actually wrote the book on stability, and they were actually following that same course abroad. So lecturers that pass through here are world-class lecturers, and you will be trained significantly for the world environment. I mean, we basically get paid to travel, see the world. You have the good, you have the bad. Now take that with a pinch of salt, right? But you have the good, the bad. However, the bad does come with any job, so don't let that discourage anything. There is a lot of ups in the industry. So yeah, we won't be here today if it weren't for those experiences, because the bad experiences will teach you to move forward and be in the position that we are in here today. Currently, I am the Chief Officer at TNT Spirit. So I've been on a lot of different vessels, being tankers, offshore supply, anchor handlers. I've done survey work as well. So being on the TNT Spirit now on the Inter-Island Ferry is another vessel type that I'm on currently, right? So you get to grow in the industry, and starting off at the age that you all are starting off, it will help you grow as well, mature, and come into your own person within the industry and find your space in it, right? Other than that, I mean, it's an enjoyable career, and take heed to it. All right, if any questions, ask any questions, feel free, not a problem.
Hi, everyone.
My name is Chaguaramas. I am a little nervous also, so forgive me. UTT for me have been a safe haven. Coming into UTT, I was not fully prepared. Unfortunately, this is my first open day, Saturday. I was one of the few that came last minute and decided I want to do marine engineering. You know, UTT guide us, they helped us to reach where we wanted to go. When I went on my first vessel, it was my first from UTT. It was my first overall. I would have been one of the persons that would have encountered gender unbiased and gender bias. I would have sailed on my first vessel with a fellow Trinidadian male. And there were a lot of differences that I would have encountered because of the fact that I was a female on board, not a Black person, not a Trinidadian, a female on board. These challenges are there, but UTT has helped, they have helped, they still help, because coming to UTT, there were a lot of females in the industry. I have seen the 2% yet, but I have also seen a lot of females trying to make it in this industry, which I am thankful for UTT for giving us that insight. I am one of the persons that will have moved from an engineering base on vessels to a land base. I am currently at National Energy as a technical assistant. I work in the industry. I have had the opportunity of being a lecturer here at UTT, giving back as a female and as a person that started when UTT started 20 years ago. And I would have also completed my master's in marine operations here at UTT. So they have been a big part of my life. They have done wonders for me, and you know, it is glad to have the opportunity now to give back and to assist in any way possible. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Sabina Panwati. I'm currently working as a second officer and a dynamic positioning operator in the oil and gas industry. I graduated from this campus in 2016, but I honestly have never truly left. I'm always coming back here for various things, and that goes to show the level of support that you get from this campus, the level of investment that your lecturers have in your education. I've been working in the industry for about 3 to 4 years now, and anything that I need, any postgrad studies, any advice, there is always somebody there available with the experience and the expertise to help you. And that to me is something that I don't think you can get in any other university or any other program. With respect to the quality of education that you get here as well, in my time as officer, I've been to the US to study, and I'm currently studying in a UK program. And as soon as I introduce myself and I say that I'm from Trinidad and Tobago, everybody expects a very high level from me. And that goes to show the level of graduates that we have coming out of here that pursue international studies. That being said as well, what some of my peers have spoken about before with the UK license, when you join a vessel and you say you have a UK license, they expect a high standard from you, and that reflects the level of certification. Now, it does come with a lot of work and a lot of sacrifice, but the final product is something that is very unique. It's a certification that you're going to be very hard to get if you don't enter this university. Like Mr. Nanan said, this is the only place outside of the United Kingdom that you can get a UK license. So I'm really happy to see so many people here today. I have attended an open day before, and I think it was a handful, maybe 20% of what we have here today. So clearly the industry is growing and more interest is showing. So I'm here to answer any questions. I am one of the few females in the industry, as they have mentioned. In my 3 years as an officer, I've only sailed once with another female officer on board. And that's ultimately going to be the experience for a lot of the females in this room here. It's not going to be the experience for the entire career, but you will encounter it. So that might sound a little scary, but don't let it get to you. It's not really that big of a deal. But it is something that we need to be wary of and we need to be prepared for. So if you all have any questions, anything that you want to shoot my way, that's fine.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Bernadette Papanet. Like Giovanna, this is my first open day. So I was one of the first females to graduate from UTT. The journey has been challenging. There were times coming to UTT, I would have cried, go to my mom, said, look, I can't finish it, so I want to give up. She was like, no, you have to continue, just try. So that support was needed. And here I am today. I am one of the captains of the water taxi. And I encourage all of you, even though times may be challenging at UTT Maritime, it is something new. It was new to me. It's not something that I grew up thinking I want to do this. It was very new, but in the end, it was worth it. I don't have much to say, like Giovanna. I'm kind of nervous, not big into the public speaking, more like tell people what to do. But I wish you all luck, and please choose this. It will be all worth it in the end. Thank you.
So what we're going to do is, we kind of suggestions right now. We're going to open for questions to our panelists. If there's any questions for the facilities, if there's any questions for the programs, we can do that throughout the tours and throughout the different discussions. If there's anything in particular that people want to find out while we have this big group of expertise here, please feel free to ask.
Hi, good day. I'm Emmanuel. What was that shift like from, especially as an engineer, right, going out to sea? What should I expect? What are like the things that I should say, okay, I should prepare for this, I should do this? What are like things that you should expect or you would have expected going on?
Well, with engineering, of course, before you leave here, the lecturers would have briefed you on maintaining a training manual. That is very important. I would say get familiar with that prior to going out there. Also, once you get to know where you're going to get placed, at least try to like go online and do some searches on the company and try to understand the vessel beforehand that you're going on board with, you know, so that when you go there, you still have a little leg up, you know. When you go out there, keep an open mind, you know, don't feel that just because you're a cadet or a student, you won't be doing odd jobs and stuff like that. You're there to learn as much as possible. And try to be very respectful, very punctual, right? When you go out there, the chief engineer, he is going to assign, let's say, the second engineer to be like your mentor on board. Oh, everyone can be your mentor. Usually they assign someone. So you need to go out there, keep on plan, and also try to maintain your training manual. Right? Try to not alienate yourself from the rest of the crew. The thing is with being on board a ship, you're out there and you're isolated. If you're not used to that kind of environment, it will be very difficult if you're not maintaining communication with the rest of the crew. So camaraderie is good as well. Try to like have a friendly outlook on stuff like that. Like just taking as much as possible. Don't take nothing for granted out there. And enjoy it as well. Even though you're going to learn, enjoy it, you're going to be going to different countries. And being that you're from Trinidad and you're going internationally, you're going to be an ambassador of your country. So what you do, you're representing Trinidad and Tobago. If you do something bad, the first thing will say, hey, look, what them Trini do. They love to do that, not them Trini. So when you go there, you do the best you could so that like the legacy that we left a good name in the industry, and everyone could say, yes, these Trinis are very good officers. And they maintain that MCA approval standards out there.
What you have as new cadets
may also meet some of these graduates of from GCT, which is something that they will not have had before also. So they may be a bit more familiar with your culture and maybe a bit easier to that also. So that is a plus right now. Again, that's why it's very important to recognize graduates from it. Any other question?
Hi, good morning. Any person from on the panel answer this? If you were to go back, we say 10 years, not sure how long each one was in the industry. I don't know how much time, because all of you look very young. I expected you guys to say that you graduated last year. I did not expect to hear that you were in the industry like 11. That's looking back from, if you were to start over again, and you have the same knowledge that you do have now, what path would you take, things you would do differently to make it more interesting, make the path more easier? And any question, like anything that you realize now that you would tackle again as a student to make the industry better? That's my question.
You would join sooner.
I don't know how we can make it easy. I don't think that's possible. Sorry, I'm not trying to scare you, but the intensity of the program, the only thing you could do to make it easier on yourself is to keep up with your studies. So I am one of those who thought I could have crammed, 2 nights before exams and that kind of thing. It will stress you out. So if I'm going back, what I would have done differently is probably start from the navigation diploma course. I can't, sorry. Because my personal goal initially was to be a captain. And sometimes I look at my peers and I envy, not much. So I would have done the navigation program and then transitioned to shore support. I think that would have given me a greater edge to understand the needs of the seafarers. Now going into this aspect of my career where I want to get into law and seafarer rights and all that kind of thing, having that background would have given me a greater edge to understand the psychological needs and that kind of thing of the seafarers. So we dealt with your studies, we dealt with what path I would have taken in terms of getting here is very difficult. There's a sacrifice that has to be made to get here and in and out on a daily basis. I do know that some of my peers and past students would have rented nearby. Rent is quite expensive, but that is a sacrifice that I would have made. If I could go back and do it all over again, I probably would take a student loan and pay for accommodation, because the hours you spend here is not just 8 to 4 for your classes. You need to immerse yourself in your studies. You need to immerse yourself in community. And I think that is why so many of us sit here today is just so proud of who we are and being a part of this global, it's a local campus, but it's such a global community. 2 weeks ago, we had an alumni meeting here, and Ezra said something, one of our pastors said something. He said, "We are all that we think we are." It sounds a little elitist, but it is so true. The discipline and the intensity and the responsibility that you are given when you leave this campus, it is unlike anything else that any other industry has to offer. So to do it differently, I would say immerse yourself. Do what you need to do to immerse yourself in your studies, in your community. Get into all the networking events. And it's difficult to get into the networking events if you're living far. And I can say that because I came here for 4 years from La Brie. So it was very difficult to immerse in the community and immerse into networking events when you're thinking, boy, you have no taxi school, I'll be this way, So if I had to do it differently, I would take a student loan, live closer, so I could be here and be a part of everything, network, study, immerse yourself, get involved. And I think that it may not make it easier, but you will have a much greater appreciation for what is being offered at the university and the local and international market.
All right, to further expand on the answer there, for me, I think starting off in the industry, I had to be, fortunately, I have a father that started off in the industry. He was an old sailor, an old seaman, right? And before I actually started here, he gave me a lot of advice, right? A lot of advice starting in the industry. So a lot of stories about seamen and seafaring and how it is and what to expect and these different things. I would have given a lot of that advice, right? Coming into the industry, however, it was slightly different for me because it's no longer stories, it's now my experience, right? And it was somewhat different in that sense. However, somewhat slightly similar as well, right? What I would advise is, as Kulan said, learn as much as you can while as a cadet. Because you don't want to fly through your cadetship, fly through that part of it, and then come out as an officer. When you come out of as an officer, they expect a certain level, right? And then you will go back thinking, oh, I should have done this and I should have done that. So as a cadet, I would say go through every experience with an open mind and soak up as much information as possible. Because when you do exams, when you're going through your exam and those processes, it will be much easier because it's no longer book sense, it's now experience. And experience is one of your greatest teachers, right? And that is one of the key things I would say to do, soak up as much information as possible. Right now, I have my books. I have small books that I used to take notes. Every time the chief officer or the captain said something, I would write it down. Pages brown now and sticking together. But nonetheless, is all those notes I still have from since I was a cadet, from first day, I was green. First time I stepped foot in a vessel, I had no clue what it looked like. Right, my very first vessel was a gas carrier, right? And first time on a vessel, the only vessel I think I've been on was Logos, and that's the books, right? Oh yeah, the Panama. Anyway, right? So, but in a work capacity, I've never been on a vessel in a work capacity before then, and it's a very steep learning curve because we were forced into cargo operation immediately, and I joined 8 o'clock in the night, right? And we forced into cargo operations immediately. So those notes and those learnings start as soon as you step foot upon a vessel. So if you're assigned someone to supervise you on board, ask a lot of questions. That's one thing that will set you apart from everybody else. Ask a lot of questions, and they will see that and soak up as much information as possible.
Thank you very much for our esteemed panel. And we are very proud of all our graduates, but just look at what we produce, guys. Give them a round of applause. And I can get back and share with the potential students. And we also have some students inside of here, so thank you very much. Ronald, I think you're meant to say the role of that deaf or engineer. All right, so guys, they are around. Any questions to that? If you could approach any one of us, ask any questions, we'll be stationed at the tables outside. There'll be some campus stores around to see the facility. If you are online and you want to make it down to Chaguaramas, still have time. We are here till 2. So we welcome you. But before we close off, I want to first recognize our support staff, 2 very hardworking ladies that work in the offices, the admin support staff, Ms. Lauren Perry, our program officer, Ms. Lena Pura, and the and Renella, and there were some other listeners that we've spoken to on the panel here, and I just want to give Ms. Perry a few minutes to, give some background into what she does as program officer and some of these.
Hi, good day, everyone. So I just want to address one thing that Renella spoke about in terms of renting closer to the campus. I just want to let you all know if you want to come and do programs here, we have dormitories at this campus here.
see me afterward if you want to know the details in terms of cost and all of that. But we do have those on this campus. In terms of the programs and costing, these programs, well, with the exception of the master's program, they are fully covered by GATE. We also we work with scholarship as well, institutions who provide scholarships, some of them specifically to maritime. So again, any questions you have in terms of that, you can see me, you will get more information. We have a fully functioning cafeteria Monday to Friday. Yeah, so that's basically it. Thank you.
And if you are potential student, this is the first thing that you need to do, right? Where the academics on the academic side, Mrs. Perry and Ms. Puran, they do a lot of guiding on the administrative side of the programs. So you need to become familiar with them, and you see a lot of emails coming from them also. So guys, this is the end of the session that we have this morning. I thank you all for staying with us for it's a bit past an hour now, but I'm sure it wasn't boring. I'm sure it was worthy experience. And we have some tours starting. We outside, you could gather outside, you could ask any questions. There are tables and rooms labeled where you could speak to the different programs, the discipline leaders, or anyone that you see and recognize as staff members from this morning. Please feel free to reach out to them. And again, Mrs. Pastor, thank you very much. Met the Pastor. Yeah, everyone else, guys, you guys go on out. Thank you.